Get this, Meta's AI model,
Llama.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
somehow ended up in the hands of the Chinese military.
Wow.
We're talking,
Real spy versus spy stuff here.
yeah, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
In today's deep dive, we're going to untangle how this cuddly-sounding tech
Yeah,
is causing a global scramble for AI dominance
it is.
with some seriously high stakes. We've got news articles breaking down real-world applications and even Meta's own blog post
Uh-huh.
laying out their strategy. You ready to dive in?
Absolutely. It's a real whirlwind, isn't it? The story throws open the doors to the complex world of open source AI international competition
Oh, yeah.
and the future of national security.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is Llama?
Okay.
And why is everyone making such a fuss about it?
So Llama stands for Large Language Model Meta AI.
All right.
And it's one of those powerful algorithms that can understand and generate
Oh.
human-like text. It's the engine behind things like chatbots,
Right.
content creation, translation.
And a whole lot more. But here's the kicker.
Okay.
Meta made it open source, meaning
Wow.
anyone can access and tinker with it.
So it's like handing out the blueprints
Yeah,
to a super advanced piece of technology.
it is.
That seems risky, especially when you consider how this stuff could be used.
That's the
Yeah.
debate raging right now.
Right.
Meta's initial thought was that open source would fuel innovation,
Okay.
allowing a global community of researchers to collaborate
Uh-huh.
and push the boundaries of AI development.
Got it.
Think of it like a giant open source project,
Yeah.
except instead of software, we're talking about the building blocks of artificial intelligence.
And the U.S. government is on board with this open approach.
It's more complicated than that.
Okay.
While the U.S. government sees AI as crucial for national security,
Mm-hmm.
they're also wary of the risks.
Right.
They're well aware that China and other countries
Yeah.
are aggressively pursuing AI dominance.
So they're trying to walk this tightrope between fostering innovation
Right.
and preventing adversaries from getting an edge.
Okay, I'm starting to see how Meta's Llama ended up in the middle of this
Yeah.
geopolitical tug of war.
Yeah.
But how did it actually happen?
Well, it turns out that Chinese researchers,
Okay.
some with ties to the People's Liberation Army,
Wow.
got their hands on an earlier version of Llama.
Okay.
They used it to develop a chatbot
Mm-hmm.
specifically designed for military intelligence purposes.
Hold on, a chatbot for military intelligence. That sounds like something straight out of a spy movie.
It does.
What was this chatbot supposed to do?
Think of it as a digital analyst,
Okay.
sifting through mountains of data,
Right.
identifying patterns,
Uh-huh.
and providing insights that could give them a strategic advantage.
Wow.
It could potentially help them anticipate moves, identify weaknesses,
Oh, really?
or even influence operations.
And Meta just let this happen. I bet they weren't too happy about it.
You're right. They weren't. Meta quickly clarified
Yeah.
that this use was unauthorized and violated their policies.
Right.
But the damage was done.
Mm-hmm.
It highlighted the inherent risks
Mhm.
of making powerful AI technology so easily accessible.
So that's how this whole saga kicked off.
Right.
Meta's open source AI model gets scooped up
Yeah.
by a potential adversary, setting off alarm bells in Washington. What happened next?
Right.
Did the U.S. government try to clamp down on this whole open source thing?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah,
But they did the opposite.
really.
Instead of retreating,
Huh.
the U.S. government decided to double down
Wow.
on open source AI.
Wow, okay.
Meta announced that they'd be making Llama officially available to U.S. government agencies,
Wow.
including those involved in defense and national security.
Wait, so they're fighting fire with fire. Isn't that a bit like saying,
Well,
hey, everyone, come and get your hands on this potentially dangerous technology?
it's a gamble, that's for sure.
They're essentially betting that by embracing open source AI,
Okay.
the U.S. can maintain its technological lead.
Mm-hmm.
They argue that open source fosters transparency and allows for broader scrutiny, which can help to identify and mitigate risks more effectively.
Okay.
Plus, it gives American companies a chance to shape the development of AI
Right.
in a way that aligns with U.S. interests.
So it's a calculated risk
Yeah.
with the hope that the benefits will outweigh the potential downsides.
Uh-huh.
But this brings us to the heart of the debate. Why go with open source AI at all?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Open source has its advantages.
Okay.
By making the code freely available,
Right.
you can tap into a global network of talent
Uh-huh.
and accelerate the pace of innovation.
I see.
Think about it. thousands of minds working together,
Yeah.
building upon each other's ideas.
Right.
That's a powerful engine for progress.
Okay. I see the appeal.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic.
Aren't there major downsides to just giving this technology away?
Absolutely. There are valid concerns about misuse.
Yeah.
Especially in the context of national security.
Right.
Not everyone playing with this tech has good intentions.
For instance.
Imagine a rogue state or even a terrorist organization
wow.
getting their hands on Llama
Right.
and using it to develop autonomous weapons systems.
Oh.
Or think about the potential for AI-powered disinformation campaigns
Yeah.
designed to sow chaos and undermine democratic institutions.
That's scary.
These are the kinds of scenarios that keep experts up at night.
Yeah. That paints a pretty chilling picture.
It does.
So we've got this powerful technology with the potential for both good and bad.
Yeah.
And the U.S. government, along with companies like Meta, are trying to figure out how to navigate this minefield, all while staying ahead in the global AI race.
They are.
This is getting really interesting.
It is. And we're just scratching the surface.
Okay.
There are so many layers to this story. Oh, I bet.
From the technical complexities of AI to the ethical dilemmas, the economic implications,
Yeah.
and the shifting balance of power on the world stage.
We're going to unpack all of it, right?
We are.
Because we haven't even talked about how Llama is actually being used
We haven't.
by the U.S. government and its partners.
Right.
Plus, we need to delve deeper into those ethical questions you mentioned.
We do. I'll cover it all.
Okay.
We'll look at how companies like Oracle are using Llama to analyze aircraft maintenance data.
Okay.
How Scale AI is fine-tuning it
Right.
for specific national security missions, and how Lockheed Martin is offering it to its defense customers for tasks like code generation.
Code generation. AI is writing code now.
They are.
This is wild.
It is.
All right. I'm ready for more. What else we got?
It really is a whole new world, isn't it? But before we get too deep into the weeds on specific applications,
Yeah.
there's a big question looming over all of this. You're talking about the ethics of using AI for military purposes, right?
Yes.
It feels like we're wading into some pretty murky territory here.
We are. And it's not a simple black and white issue.
Right.
There are compelling arguments on both sides.
Okay.
On one hand, AI has the potential to revolutionize warfare
Okay.
in ways that could make it less destructive and more humane.
Really?
Imagine using AI to precisely target enemy installations,
Okay.
minimizing civilian casualties,
Wow.
or using it to develop sophisticated early warning systems that could prevent conflicts from escalating in the first place.
So AI could actually make war less terrible. That's a pretty radical idea.
It is, but it's not without its challenges.
Okay.
On the flip side, there are serious concerns about the potential for unintended consequences. Autonomous weapon systems that could make life or death decisions without human oversight,
Right.
and the erosion of international norms and trust.
It's like we're standing at the edge of a precipice,
Yeah.
looking out at this uncharted territory. The potential benefits are tantalizing, but the risks are terrifying.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to have these conversations.
Yeah.
To weigh the potential benefits against the very real risks. We need to be asking ourselves some tough questions.
Like what?
How do we ensure that AI is used responsibly in the context of warfare?
Yeah.
What safeguards do we need to put in place?
Yeah.
And who ultimately gets to decide how this technology is developed and deployed?
It feels like we're trying to build the plane while we're flying it.
Yeah.
The technology is advancing so rapidly that it's hard for ethics and regulations to keep up.
That's a great analogy, and it's not just governments and policymakers
Right.
who are grappling with these questions.
I mean, from the people actually building these AI systems.
Exactly.
Oh,
There have been protests from employees at major tech companies
really?
who are deeply uncomfortable with their work being used for military applications.
That's interesting.
They're raising ethical concerns, arguing that these technologies could be used for harmful purposes and that their development should be subject to much stricter oversight.
So it's not just activists or academics sounding the alarm.
No.
It's the engineers, the coders, the people on the front lines of AI development.
Exactly.
That's a powerful signal that we need to proceed with caution.
It is, and it highlights the fact that this isn't just a technological challenge, it's a moral one.
Right.
We need to have a serious conversation about the kind of future we want to create with AI and what role we want it to play in our lives, including in the realm of national security.
Okay, so we've got these ethical dilemmas swirling around, but we also have this intense global competition for AI dominance.
Right.
You mentioned earlier that China is making major investments in this area.
They are.
How does that factor into the equation?
Think of it this way. AI is becoming the new space race.
Okay.
Whoever controls this technology will have a significant strategic advantage, not just militarily, but economically and politically as well. And China is making it clear that they intend to be a major player in this game. They're pouring resources into AI research, development, and deployment, and they're not shying away from military applications.
So it's not just about who has the best algorithms. It's about who can leverage AI to enhance their national power and influence on the global stage.
Precisely. And that's why the U.S. government's embrace of open source AI with programs like Llama can be seen as a strategic move. They're trying to create an ecosystem where American innovation can flourish and where the U.S. can set the standards and norms for responsible AI development and use.
But isn't there a risk that by being so open, we're also handing our rivals the keys to the kingdom? Couldn't China or other countries simply take advantage of our open source approach and use it to bolster their own AI capabilities?
That's the gamble the U.S. is taking.
Right.
They're betting that the benefits of open collaboration, the rapid pace of innovation, and the ability to attract and retain top talent will outweigh the risks of potential misuse. They're also hoping that by promoting an open and transparent approach to AI development, they can build trust and cooperation with other like-minded nations, creating a counterweight to China's more closed and centralized model.
So it's a high-stakes poker game with the future of global power and influence hanging in the balance.
Exactly. And it's playing out right now in research labs, in government agencies, and in corporate boardrooms around the world.
Now, I'm really starting to grasp the magnitude of what we're dealing with here.
It's
not just about bits and bytes. It's about the future of humanity.
It is.
The global balance of power and the very nature of warfare itself.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, isn't it? But it's also incredibly exciting. We're living through a technological revolution that has the potential to reshape our world in profound ways, and we have a responsibility to engage with it thoughtfully, critically, and with a deep awareness of both the opportunities and the risks it presents.
Okay, so we've covered the ethical dilemmas, the global competition, and the potential for both good and bad. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
Okay.
How is Llama actually being used by the U.S. government and its partners? Give me some concrete examples.
Well, one example is Oracle's use of Llama to analyze aircraft maintenance data.
Okay.
The idea is to use AI to sift through mountains of technical documents, identify potential problems before they become major issues, and ultimately keep aircraft in the air longer and safer.
So instead of relying on human technicians to pore over manuals and logs, they're using AI to do the heavy lifting.
Exactly.
That sounds like a pretty efficient way to keep those fighter jets flying.
Exactly. And it's not just about efficiency. It's also about accuracy and speed. AI can analyze data far faster and more thoroughly than any human, potentially catching subtle patterns or anomalies that might otherwise be missed.
Interesting.
This could be a game changer for military readiness, giving the U.S. a real advantage in terms of keeping its aircraft operational and ready for action.
Okay, that's one example. What else?
Another fascinating application is Scale AI's work on fine-tuning Llama for specific national security missions.
Okay.
They're training the AI to do things like analyze satellite imagery, identify potential threats, and even plan complex operations.
So instead of relying on human analysts to interpret grainy satellite photos and try to figure out what's going on, they're using AI to do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
AI can process vast amounts of visual data far faster and more accurately than humans.
Wow.
It can identify patterns and anomalies that might be invisible to the naked eye.
Really?
Potentially giving military planners a crucial edge in understanding the battlefield and making strategic decisions.
This is starting to sound like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it?
AI analyzing satellite imagery, planning missions?
Yeah.
Maybe even controlling drones or other weapons systems?
We're not quite there yet when it comes to autonomous weapon systems.
Okay.
But the potential is certainly there.
Right.
And it's something that's being actively discussed and debated at the highest levels.
Okay, so we've got AI reading maintenance logs and analyzing satellite photos. What else is it up to?
Well, Lockheed Martin, one of the world's largest defense contractors, is offering Llama to its customers for tasks like code generation.
Code generation? You mean AI is writing software now? How does that even work?
It's pretty amazing, actually. Large language models like Llama have been trained on massive data sets of code,
Right.
and they've learned to identify patterns and structures in code.
Okay.
So if you give them a set of instructions or a problem to solve,
Right.
they can generate code that fulfills those requirements.
That's mind-blowing. So instead of having human programmers spend hours or days writing code,
Yeah,
you can have AI do it in a fraction of the time.
exactly. And it's not just about speed.
Okay.
AI-generated code can be remarkably accurate and efficient, potentially reducing errors and making software development much faster and more cost-effective.
I'm starting to see why everyone is so excited about the potential of AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a digital workforce that can do all sorts of things that humans find tedious or time-consuming.
That's a great way to put it, but it's important to remember that AI is still in its early stages of development.
Okay.
There are limitations, there are risks,
Mhm.
and there are ethical questions that we need to grapple with.
That's a good reminder.
It is.
We can't get so caught up in the hype that we lose sight of the bigger picture.
Right.
But this has been an incredible journey so far.
It has.
We've gone from spy versus spy intrigue to the ethics of AI in warfare to the nuts and bolts of how this technology is being used in the real world.
We have.
And we're not done yet, right?
Not even close. We've only just begun to explore the vast landscape of open source AI,
Wow.
the global competition for AI dominance, and the profound implications of this technology for the future of humanity.
Well, I'm all ears. Lead the way. So we've gone deep on how Meta's Llama is shaking things up in the world of national security, open source AI, international competition,
Yeah.
game-changing applications, all in the mix. Where do we even go from here?
Well, it's a lot to process, isn't it? We're witnessing the birth of a technology that could reshape the very fabric of society.
Yeah.
And the rules are being written as we speak.
Exactly. We've talked about the potential benefits and the very real risks, but who gets to decide how this all unfolds? Is it governments,
Right.
corporations, researchers?
Yeah.
It feels like we need a global conversation about AI before it's too late.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
This isn't just a technological challenge, it's
Uh-huh.
a societal one. We need to be thinking about the values we want to embed in these systems, the safeguards we need to put in place, and the ethical implications of using AI in sensitive areas like national security.
It feels like we're at a crossroads.
It does.
On one hand, you have the incredible potential of AI to solve problems, improve efficiency, and even enhance our safety.
Right.
But on the other hand, you have the potential for misuse, for unintended consequences,
Right.
and even for the erosion of human control.
It's a classic double-edged sword.
Right.
And it's why it's so crucial to have these conversations now before the technology outpaces our ability to understand and manage it.
So what can we as individuals do to make sure AI is used responsibly?
Yeah.
It all feels so big and complex.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but there are things we can do.
Like what?
First and foremost, we need to stay informed. Learn about AI, understand its capabilities and its limitations, and engage in discussions about its ethical implications.
So it's about becoming informed citizens in the age of AI,
Yes.
not just passively consuming technology, but actively shaping its future.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The more we know, the better equipped we'll be to ask the right questions,
Right.
challenge assumptions, and
Yeah.
hold those in power accountable.
I see.
We need to demand transparency from companies developing AI, ethical guidelines for its use,
Right.
and robust oversight mechanisms to ensure it's not used for harmful purposes.
It's almost like we need a new social contract for the AI age,
I like that.
a set of shared principles that guide the development and use of this technology.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
We need to have a global conversation about the values we want to embed in AI systems, the safeguards we need to put in place, and the limits we need to set.
Okay.
This isn't just about technology, it's about the kind of world we want to live in.
This has been an incredible journey. We started with Meta's Llama ending up in the hands of the Chinese military, and we've ended up grappling with some of the biggest questions facing humanity in the 21st century.
It's a reminder that even seemingly small technological developments can have far-reaching consequences.
Right.
And it's a call to action for all of us to engage with this technology thoughtfully, critically, and with a deep sense of responsibility.
So for our listeners out there,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want them to take away from this deep dive?
I think the future of AI is not predetermined.
Okay.
It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the conversations we have, and the actions we take. So stay informed, stay engaged, and don't be afraid to ask the tough questions.
That's a perfect note to end on. If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we'll be sharing some resources in the show notes,
Right.
where you can learn more about open source AI, its implications, and how you can get involved in the conversation.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.